In the meantime, former President Olusegun Obasanjo has expressed strong disapproval of President Bola Tinubu's handling of critical economic reforms, including the removal of petroleum subsidies and the floating of the naira. Speaking at the Paul R.J. colloquium in Abuja this weekend, Obasanjo argued that while these policies were necessary, the implementation was flawed. He called for a comprehensive 25-year roadmap to address the nation's various challenges and guide it towards recovery. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo highlighted that merely adjusting the exchange rate will not solve the ongoing economic crisis. Instead, he stressed the need for consistent and continuous policy measures to foster stability and predictability, which are essential for encouraging both domestic and foreign investment. And to talk about this in detail, I'm joined live in the studio by a public affairs commentator, Deyemi Saka. Good morning. Glad to have you join me.
Good morning. It's nice to be back here.
Let me start off by asking, how significant is former President Olusegun Obasanjo's critique of Tinubu's economic policies?
I don't think anybody can question Obasanjo's credentials to critique any nation's economic policies or any policy that foreign or domestic. He has proven it. He was there from 1999 to 2007. And Obasanjo was the one that got us the bragging right to say the economy, our GDP was growing annually at the rate of 5%. So if such a man stands at any function, either public or private, to speak to government or those in power about economic policies, I guess they should listen to him and probably take a cue from, his ideologies or policies while he was in office. And Obasanjo stated it rightly. It's not just about adjusting the inflation rate, and the removal of fuel subsidy was wrong, was ill-timed, was not well thought out. And and this parallel effect is what all Nigerians are groaning and complaining about. And I imagine before you remove the fuel subsidy or subsidy on PMS and what have you, you should give your nation what is called a competitive edge through the state-owned petroleum company, the NNPC, but NNPC limited or what have you, but that didn't happen. We see how the whole country was being, told, cajoled or coerced to believe that one man is going to come solve our problem. The private refinery has been commissioned, nothing has happened. We're still buying PMS at a high rate.
Just to follow up on that, you talked about the ill-timed removal of the fuel subsidy. What would be the appropriate time, or what measures need be on ground before the removal, of fuel subsidy?
You have to have you have to increase or probably have a refining capacity that gives a competitive edge in the market that makes you, because whether we like it or not, government must come with a form of subsidy for these things. Saudi Arabia, Aramco, without giving them free advert, because of the breakout of Ukraine-Russia war, the first year made $80 billion in excess of their projected profit for the year. And the government said the excessive profit is going to be plowed back into the society for social security and social amenities. So yes, you can imagine what would have ended as a country if our NNPC or have that refining capacity. So I imagine you probably would have gotten the Port Harcourt refinery fully completed, not just technically completed, because we've been technically completed for some months now. You probably want to get the Warri refinery working, that in Kaduna working. You probably allow players to come into the market, create room for more people to come to modular refineries. It takes the project lifeline to build a refinery is between 36 months to 60 months. And that is, and what you're asking yourself, if Dangote could start his own in 2016, there was nothing stopping the federal government from building a new refinery from the scratch if you believe the refineries on ground are obsolete. Now, and again, sorry, a quick one. And it was so infuriating, and I don't know the economic reasoning behind it, that the federal government went borrowing, and NNPC invested such low funds into buying shares and stakes in Dangote refinery. What would have happened if we used that stake? It has to build a refinery for Nigerians or even revive the existing ones.
Now, looking forward, having highlighted all the challenges for this administration, Obasanjo called for a comprehensive 25-year roadmap to address Nigeria's challenges. What key elements should be in such a roadmap?
Yeah, before we could come up with a roadmap, we have to identify the road or the roads we want to take. And the first thing that will make us understand the road we should take or roads we should take is we should have a true, genuine census. We should know how many of us are truly in this country. We should have, we should break down the demographics, and that will give us an idea of where and what is lacking. A census is not just about counting people. You probably even have an idea of the household income. You have an idea of the kids in the house. You probably have an idea of you have an idea of children under 18. That makes you plan for maternal child health care. That makes you plan for health care for your population. It makes you know what you should invest in terms of education. So before we could start planning, and I've been asking this question for the past 4 years. There's a Ministry of National Planning, Budget and National Planning. What are they planning with? And I have a friend of mine that works with the UK government. There are plans in place for the next 30 years. Because we don't have a true accurate census, we cannot even project at what rate is our population growing. We don't know what to provide at when to provide it. We don't know what kind of transportation we need. We don't know what kind of investments we should be having in agriculture, and that is one. Secondly, before we can move further, before we can even have a roadmap, we should probably keep Nigeria safe. I think there's a need for us to look at police in charge of public safety. I don't know how we can do it. I can't call for a total overhaul because we still have some fine personnel on the force, but that force needs to be retrained. There has to be massive enlistment into the Nigerian police force. There has to be massive purging of ill-trained, ill-mannered, corruption is, I'm not even talking about corruption, ill-mannered, ill-trained people out of the system. Then you look at the territorial integrity of Nigeria. The Ministry of Defense has been doing quite well. They attended the World Defense Show. DICON, the defense company of Nigeria, is coming up. And there's been trade agreements signed with DICON and the Jakarta Steel to look to boost arms and local arms production. I guess with things like this, with Nigeria, if we can secure our territorial integrity from internal and external, aggression, then we can really sit down and start planning.
Just to quickly chip in that you talked about integrity. Now, talking about integrity, but now I want to look at economic integrity. Integrity. Now, how can these governments improve on consistency and also predictability of its economic policies to foster investor confidence? Recall, we've seen a lot of economic policies affecting businesses. So how can they improve on investor confidence?
Well, whether we like it or not, Nigerians might not like these suggestions, but I think they should probably go back as far as 1985 to 1993, and I'll tell you why. They should go look at the economic policies of Babangida administration. They should go back and look at the policies of Abacha, how he was able to stabilize the naira throughout his 5 years in office, and look at, okay, what can be done or what should be done. And with that, we can build on that. Well, the world is becoming global. The world is becoming more capitalism driven. And so we should look out as a way to strike a balance. We shouldn't just say, and I tell people, the form of governance or government we're running in the country will always build capitalism. We give you, because free market comes with the free option and your freedom, your free will. But I think we have to try to strike a balance between capitalism, welfareism, and socialism, where everybody can be captured in a safety net. The government should not just, in fact, there was a time the government came up with a policy that they want all points of sale operators to go register with CAC in a bid for them to capture the data and what have you. And I love that, because don't pee on my face and tell me it's raining. It's just a way to generate funds, tax more Nigerians, because once you register a company, either a business name or what have you have to file returns with CAC. Don't be surprised in 2 years' time, CAC will be declaring huge amounts of profit. So I think Mr. President should slow down on his capitalism or capitalist drive, or probably tone down his capitalist tendency and be more of a leader, feel the pains and the traumas and the tribulations Nigerians are going through.
And that's a fine place to wrap up or press for time. But thank you so much for your insight and, of course, your kind company. Deyemi Saka, public affairs commentator. Thank you once again.
You're welcome. Where's the phone call away?